Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. CIG put out a Star Citizen live vehicle concept team interview where they looked at some ships that were in concept development. This ranged from looking at how the Pioneer is going, but also looking at a additional 3 new ships that CIG are building out. So let's jump into that and have a bit of a chat. CIG did say in this episode of Star Citizen Live that next week Stellar Fortuna starts, which is the St. Patrick's Day event, which is focused on being lucky and adventurous in Star Citizen. And it's not just about green ships and vehicles next week like they normally do. There is something a little different as well. I was assuming that it was going to be things like the Star Kitten, Pulse Skin, and racing suit, stuff like that might turn up, but there could also be a new ship or vehicle as well beyond that. Vehicle concept team. They take a brief or idea for a ship and try to make it into something that's viable for Star Citizen. So they get a brief, they look at that brief, they go, let's try and explore different routes for how this might look in the game, and they'll do a few of them. There might be like 3 or 4 designs, but there could be like a dozen designs, and then they'll take different pieces off each of them and use them to evolve a main idea, or go, this one's better, let's keep on evolving design B, and they'll keep on changing it until it gets into something that is closer to what they want, and then they'll try and make that a reality. Dev's experience from their team ranges from, prior to CIG and Star Citizen, working on movies, other games, other space games, that sort of stuff. They also said even if something doesn't get used for its intended purpose, even if they don't use a concept because they've made a dozen and 2 of them just don't get used at all, or 11 of them out of the dozen don't get used at all, the concept art is still part of the process, and it might influence that design or another design in the future, but also gives them an indication of what not to do, what doesn't work. Let's talk about the Pioneer. The Pioneer has evolved since its original concepting and sale. It's now moved from an outpost builder to a large mobile base, which is a base and space station builder at the largest scale. It's also a vehicle and item crafter. It can do a huge range of stuff. It's pretty self-sufficient as well, being able to get the materials it needs to be able to do the crafting that it wants to do. So they've been building out a vertical slice of the Pioneer for Consolidated Outlands. This has helped to define the style guide and bring unity to the rest of the ship, so they know how to build out the other parts of it more easily. And because it's so large, well, these sort of things are necessary. They showed off some of the Pioneer concepts here. These are exploring plans for different areas of the ship that obviously might change. They showed off the refinery area for the ship. It's got big solid walls around the corridors and the traversal areas, big beams and supports. It's lots and lots of layers. It's a massive ship. The palette and colors might change significantly, but they wanted to separate its areas and functions by color, at least for this concept. So there's like bold yellows and bold reds, but also a muted grey-blue tone here to differentiate those 2 things. This is all informed by work on other capital ships as well, and the idea here is to help players not get lost and guide them into functional areas. They showed off corridors, elevators, crafting stations as well. They don't have another industrial high-tech capital ship for reference, so they're trying new things in different styles here. Some areas were like marked with triangular widgets on the walls. There's also like perforated flooring to designate maglev cargo plates and things like this. So we're trying out different styles here and going like, it would be nice to have something here. There was lots of things indicating in the background that text should go here, and oh, things look good here. They are trying to see what works for the style and then evolving that. Very excited for the Pioneer. Don't expect it to be in game, but later this year. It is in concept still. Big ship like this, probably 18 months to 2 years before it's in game, in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see. The next thing they showed was an RSI ship. They've been working on a heavy strike fighter, which is based on the RSI Mantis. This is a new look and evolution of that. It's not a variant in the traditional sense. It is a new vehicle, but built on the Mantis platform. There's no images of this one unfortunately. It's early days, but the designer was talking about it being way cooler than the Mantis. They're very excited. It's a great fighter for players that don't want the interdiction role of the Mantis. My expectations of like a heavy strike fighter is something that wants to get close. It's relatively highly armored, might be pretty short range in its armament, but quite a lot of DPS. Relatively quick and agile. I mean, it's built on the Mantis frame. Don't know how many seater it's going to be. I suspect it to be 1 or 2. And I'd also expect them to fit in as many weapons as they possibly can on it. I'd also expect it to be very short range, so it would want to operate from another ship, a mothership, with its focus being on its weapons and armor and potentially shields rather than quantum fuel or that sort of stuff. They then showed off another ship. They actually showed this one off rather than just talked about it. This is another RSI ship. It's a really small starter salvage ship. It's smaller than the Vulture. The brief was RSI Salvage starter ship, not for fighting. They showed 3 different ideas here. The first, also similar to the Mantis. It took some inspiration from it. It's going to have salvage grabbies at the front for doing the different types of salvage. The second one they showed was a bit more influenced by the Pisces and Zeus. And the third one is chunkier with cargo at the back, as what the designer said. That's the one they liked the most. We'll see where this evolves. Really like the idea of a really small salvage starter ship. I want to see this for all the different industrial roles. Something I can just start the game with and go bam. Don't actually want to do combat really at all. I want to do this industrial role. Let me start the game with that ship. Some of these different styles are a bit different from what RSI had previously done, and they did want to talk about concept and ship evolution and the RSI stylings through the ages. They said not all ships within a company and brand will 100% conform with the style guide for that brand, and the ships are going to evolve over the years. They're going to get new designers, they're going to try new things, both in lore and with the actual employees at the company. So Star Citizen as a game, its development style and its ships have changed with its over a decade of development. I just thought that was really interesting. They did show off another ship and a lot of different routes that ship might go. It was a new Kruger single-seater light fighter influenced by the P-52 and P-72, obviously, because that's the only other Kruger ships that we have. It's very 1950s retro cars, but also it's got influence from the Spitfire and Mustang planes. Smooth, rounded, small, but larger than the P-52s. They are exploring a hole in the wing or body like the P-52-72, something like that to bring their designs together. It looks like it's running a couple of size 2 weapons, at least on the concepts. They don't know the direction of where it's going yet from the initial concepts they showed, but one of these is likely going to be preferred and they'll sort of evolve it down that route, although multiple ones might get picked for blending some different ideas together. It's going to be a while before any of these are in game. The turnaround of some of this stuff is actually pretty quick, but these are in early concepts. We will be doing another video in the not too distant future looking at ships that are being worked on by CIG, a bit of a ship update and some of that have fallen by the wayside, like the Bandit Merchantman, what's happening with the 600i. I'm actually waiting for CIG to answer some questions on that. Anyway, I'm really interested to know what you thought about those different ships that they were talking about and showing off there. Really like seeing development like this shown off by CIG, where they talk about concepts, they talk about the future of the game, talk about some of the stuff they're working on, and actually go, look, these are examples of things that we're working on. What do you think? RSI Heavy Strike Fighter, based on the Mantis, sounds awesome, but what do you think? Actually, at the end of that Star Citizen Live, Jared did say that he had shaved himself recently, and next week's Inside Star Citizen, we'd find out why. I'm assuming it's because he had his face scanned in for the game, or he's doing some mocap for a character, voice work and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see though. Maybe he's going to be in the new mission narrative in the Persistent Universe. What do you think? Comment down below. A reason to comment down below is because we got a ship giveaway every month, and if you comment on our videos made during March, you have a chance to win a Super Hornet Mark II with Heartseeker kit. It also comes with a game package and lifetime insurance. It was given to us by CIG. Thank you very much for that. It's all you need to play Star Citizen. If you want to start with a medium brawler fighter anyway. If you want to further support the channel, there's a join button, there's Patreon, there's all that sort of stuff down below. Liking, sharing, and subscribing really helps. Something else that helps, if you want to get some NordVPN, you can go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer or use the links down below. Huge discount on that. I use NordVPN. I get better accessibility, security, and privacies on the interwebs. We've got links down below as well to things like Tobii Eye Tracker if you want some precision head and eye tracking for Star Citizen, and a load of other games as well. Check that out. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.